Hello, everyone, and welcome to week 6. So we are right smack dab in the middle of the resistance work, and if it hasn't hit you already, it's going to start to hit you pretty soon. Like how profound, how powerful this work really is. So we've spent the first 4 weeks on like lighting up that purpose tree, like really getting close or getting clear on all these different parts. And now we're beginning to scratch the surface and see what's the high definition understanding of your ego. Like what are these parts that are giving us, let's say, a little bit of pushback, a little bit of resistance on creating this next phase of our life. So each of these parts is vital. There's nothing wrong with any of them. Now, their expression might not be of greatest service to you right now, or you might be like, ugh, gross. Like, what is this voice? Why do I get in touch with the beauty in my soul and all of a sudden like feel like I don't deserve it, or it's wrong, or I made it up, or it sucks, or it'll make me broke. So that dissonance is there, right? And you can do one of two things. You can quit. You can always quit. I don't want you to quit. Your soul doesn't want you to quit. Or you just keep pitching forward, keep pushing yourself into this realm. And I promise you, there will be more power, more freedom, more self-love. Because that's what I felt. That's what I felt when I completed this process, looked at all 5 of my parts. I was like, oh, all the parts that say I'm a jerk or I screwed up, they actually want what's best for me. They're not really telling me valid, factual information about how I screwed up. So I also want to name that I'm in a different place right now. And I'm actually in Olympia Fields Country Club in Olympia Fields, Illinois, just outside of Chicago. And I am in town to see some buddies, go see a football game. The University of Illinois is playing Wisconsin tomorrow. And had the good fortune to be able to stay with my dad. And he lives about 2 miles away from this country club. And those of you who know me probably like sensing the irony of me being in a country club, especially looking like I normally look. But it dovetails into actually this work. So we get in last night and I get this note from my dad, and there were parts of it that were like really loving and welcoming, and then there were parts of it that I got really triggered, like really angry about. And so I sat with it, and this morning, wrote about it. And what's there for me, is all these emotions. There's sadness, there's anger, there's shame, there's fear. There's sadness that like my dad and I don't have the relationship I'd like. There's sadness that I don't feel like my dad knows me very well, or can experience like who I am. There's anger that like come on, like it's like outrage. It's like, dude, really, after all this time you're still saying this to me. And there's shame because he's got some valid points. He's got some valid points, and I feel bad. I go into this victim-y shame spiral around it. And there's fear. And so when I look at all these emotions that are coming up, and I can sit down with each of my parts, because they're all there. They're all there. So my emotions are like the dashboard of the car. They tell me like, hey, pay attention, something's happening. Now they don't tell me what to do. Meaning like they're not like saying, turn right, turn left, stop the car. They don't say that. They just say, pay attention, you've got to do some work. And so what often happens is people have an emotion, and that they use that to justify something, like being a jerk, withdrawing, having another glass of wine, whatever it is. Like it ends up becoming a reason not to live your purpose, your emotion. And so I'm not making emotions wrong, but I'm saying if you stay with it for a little bit, you'll actually see that your parts are starting to dance. They're like, hey, something's happening here. You need to pay attention. So for me, when I get underneath all those emotions, what's really there is my wounded child. Like, my primary wound is around my dad, like not feeling like I got the love that I wanted, and being rejected and admonished and all that kind of stuff. Not having the kind of nurturing, kingly kind of, I see you, I love you, like, let me help you achieve your dreams kind of thing. Now, he did that in his own way, but it wasn't in a way that like made my soul very happy. My critic's there. And my critic, so the content of the message was kind of around money and wealth and abundance. My critic is there like, you actually don't make a lot of money. You haven't made a lot of money since you left tech. And maybe there's something wrong with you. Well, then my skeptic comes in kind of to my rescue a little bit and says, well, you know what? Most purpose guides I know aren't rich. They've taken some kind of vow of poverty. And, and maybe that's just what it is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe you are just, a guy who struggles financially but is otherwise fulfilled. And then my protector comes in and he says, you do spend a lot of time doing non-revenue generating things. It's like, you are trying to build this movement. You are trying to connect all your peers. You're doing a lot of stuff you're not getting paid for, pal. Like, maybe you should do more. Maybe your dad's right. Maybe you should be rich. Maybe, you're 41 now. Like, why? There's no reason you should be making six figures, right? Now, what do all these parts have in common? Like, if I indulge them individually, they rob me of my power. Meaning, like, if I ascribe them the significance of believing in their messages, I'm like, oh, well, that's just the way it is. Life sucks. I'm in my shame spiral, and I just get to hang out here. Now, we can do better than that. Thankfully, Tim Kelly and Hal and Citra Stone and Young and Azzagioli and all these people gave us access to understand these different parts. And so you began that last week. We're going to take it a little bit deeper this week. Now, this is the true source of power. Like, understanding how to deal with these voices, because everyone's got them. The only thing that separates somebody who takes 100 effective actions a day versus somebody who takes 2 is that they have power over these voices. Now, I'm not saying repress or ignore those voices. I'm saying actually deal with them, use them, befriend them, turn them into allies. That's what I mean by power. It's like power with, not necessarily power over. So you're getting to know these voices, creating a partnership with them, seeing what their wisdom is, and then moving forth. So the quote I want to leave you with today is from Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic philosopher, statesperson, general. So Marcus Aurelius says, one who lives in harmony with oneself lives in harmony with the universe. Now, what Marcus is talking about is this very thing, achieving this internal harmony, this acceptance, this self-love. If you can achieve and this intimacy, this appreciation of all these different parts, all these different incidents that made you who you are, and that gives you the ability to accept all of your past failures, all your misgivings, anything that's happened in your life that hasn't been great, you can accept it and honor it as the thing that made you who you are, that gave you your strong suit, that gave you your powers, that pushed you into this new realm of experience. And with this comes integrity, internal psychic integrity. You get to know these voices, and self-love. And that's the ticket, like, because then you're not only like internally sourced in terms of who you know yourself to be, but you love yourself. And that's what this whole thing is really all about. Yes, it's about your full expression, and yes, it's about saving humanity, and yes, it's about having the life you love, but like internally loving yourself completely. And so when this started to come online for me, it was such a foreign feeling, because I hadn't felt it since I was like 6. Like, I was like, wow, I'm great. I love being, little Brandon. I'd take my flashlight and I'd go underneath these hedges, and I would throw dirt up in the air, and I'd have the flashlight, and I'd be like, Star Wars, It's like that's sort of like, God, being me is awesome. I get to do this. I get to throw dirt up in the air and like hit it with a flashlight. And so that's what I got. I got reconnected to that love. That like, wow, it's awesome to be me. Like I get to do cool stuff. Like it's 2017 and we're like changing the world and helping people find their purpose. And so you keep doing this work, keep working with these parts. That's what you're going to be standing inside of. You're going to be sitting on this throne of kind of parts-driven self-love. Now, our exercise today is called transforming resistance. So you're going to take your loudest part, and you're going to get to know it. You're going to ask it a bunch of questions, find out really what it's about, because the only way to kind of get it on your side is not to kind of be mean to it and push it off into a corner, but to actually get to know it, understand why it's been working so hard. But Tim Kelly says this so beautifully. He's like, we're not at war with the ego. It has been working tirelessly for us. We just need to acknowledge it and praise it, and then ask it for its partnership in creating this next level. And so, by the way, if you haven't seen Pixar's Inside Out, go see it. It's really good. It's entertaining, but it's also it begins to show how the inner workings of the psyche actually start to play together. In this case, this movie is like joy and sadness and all that kind of stuff, and anger. But what you have inside of you are these 5 parts, at least. Your critic, your skeptic, your image consultant, your wounded child, protector. And you're going to get to interview your number one loudest part, and then ask a favor. Will you help me? And what do I need to do for you so you'll let me live my soul's purpose? Now, you're also going to continue spending every morning 1 to 3 minutes with your purpose tree mandala and doing your powerful share. Now, this is the point in the journey that I want you to consider doing the bonus, and that's reach out to somebody on your list who you have got something incomplete with, or like there's something you stepped over, an agreement you broke, a way you were being inauthentic, or praise that you have withheld, or something that's like the relationship doesn't have as much freedom and as much enjoyment and as much connection because you did something. And so what you get to do here is to say, hey, I'm taking this great course. You don't have to say great. I'm taking this annoying course led by this annoying guy. And I learned something about myself, about my purpose, but more importantly, how I've been not living my purpose. And here's what I did. I didn't tell you about that thing, or I slept with your wife, or remember when you said we were all going to go on vacation together, and I said, we can't do it. Well, we actually could. I lied to you. I just didn't want to. Whatever it is, but you're going to start to restore some integrity, start to like bring some like real truth. This is actually like where purpose is lived. It's in those vulnerable moments where you have to make yourself look bad. And by the way, this is also your access to becoming embodied purposefully, having all your relationships be fully honest, fully on fire, fully creative, fully collaborative, and also your access to leadership. So it's not about purpose, it's about purpose plus embodiment plus leadership. So embodiment's the fulfillment of purpose, and leadership's the fulfillment of embodiment. So you begin to start to do this is where like the treads start to catch and your life starts to change immediately. Now we're not, that's not the focus of this program, but like I want to encourage you to start to reach out to people who are like, you've got something incomplete with, and you can transform it with what you now know to be true about yourself. So good luck, everyone. Have an amazing week. Share heartily, generously. We'll see you soon.